August 12th, City of Colleyville Planning and Zoning pre-commission meeting. Okay, I'm not going to take roll this evening. I'll take it in our main meeting in chambers. So I think today, I don't think that we have anything new that we're going to cover for the future. Just if there's any questions on anything that we do have on our agenda. We did talk about, did y'all read the minutes? Do you have any? Okay, good. So good. I didn't have any changes. Just, you know. So, okay, good. Okay. Let's see. So, do y'all have any questions? We have the Shelton Drive case, which we'll talk about that in the meeting. And then the next item, 3B, Reagan Estates, Lowry Road. So if we can, are you here?
I wasn't.
So let's revisit that one, just so you're, do you mind if we revisit that one for Jason's information and benefit?
Sure, let me zip ahead here. Zipping through Shelton Drive real quick.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
there we
number
go.
2. Yeah.
So it's a minor plat, and there's a location off of Lowry Road. You can see the 2 pieces of land there. They want to plat together so they can put in a new accessory building in the rear yard. Go to that. Okay. It's zoned R40. The lot width of those 2 pieces of land is only 145 square feet. So they're asking for, along with the minor plat, a plat waiver for that, just recognizing that. And that's the plat exhibit right there.
And so that's, I mean, the only waiver is the 5 feet, and that's, okay.
That's correct. And if they did not need that and they met the 150 feet, it would have been, you wouldn't be seeing it tonight. The civil drawing too, so you can see that.
So this, yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Yeah, I don't have any questions, but yeah, that's the only, it's just the 5 feet. That's it. Yeah.
And then what was I had one question on the next case, just in general. Yeah, well, my question is, what's the distance between the structures? Because typically whenever I'm putting 2 structures on a, think about fire code, and it looks like they're almost, they're 20 feet, which is kind of the absolute minimum.
If I remember right, I think it was 18 feet.
Okay. So has fire weighed in on that?
Yeah, and it meets the separation
Okay.
for fire code.
That's the only thing I was worried about, because it seemed like sometimes with aerial truck or ladder trucks, there's a different spacing, and I don't know. I just wanted to make sure we were comfortable with fire.
I'll probably speak for him, but I think when you get to within a certain distance, then you just have to increase your building material standards for fire-rated protections.
Okay.
But at the 18 feet, there's not any of that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Well, and the other thing on this one too, Jason, is the accessory dwelling. Not in this letter that was received after the posting of the hearing. They're explaining and putting forth that they understand and will not be.
It's not going to be a B&B or Airbnb
Yeah, none
or.
of that. And so
Have they
I'm glad to have this in writing.
I should know this, but have they identified the use of the accessory dwelling?
Yes, it's the father and the father or father-in-law is going to be living there. He's moving here for personal reasons, just so he can be with his family.
So help me understand in that process. Is the SUP is because it's a dwelling?
Right.
Well,
Okay.
that and also it exceeds the number of the square footage.
Right. So as an accessory dwelling, that automatically requires a special use permit, and then it is over the 4% allowance.
So what triggers the SUP ever being, so does it take a change in ownership or change in property, or when does that use ever go away?
No, the use will not go away because essentially it's authorizing a stove and oven as part of the kitchen, which makes it a full, complete dwelling.
Okay.
So by adding that condition that it cannot be rented and it can only be used for family or servants, that will also run with the property. And so if it's a new owner, they also cannot be able to rent that out. And that's already listed in a regulation, but it duplicates it so that anyone else in the future will have that in writing as well as they look at the SUP for it.
So that's gonna be stated in the SUP? I didn't
Yes,
look
we've
at
added it in
ordinance.
the
I
SUP.
didn't look at that. Okay, good.
So it says both short-term and long-term, so that, because you look at this and it's like, okay, basically you're doubling your density by putting a second dwelling on there. But if it cannot be rented, I guess there's no real risk. It can't be sold unless there's
That's right.
a condominium interest sold underneath the property.
Which we wouldn't authorize.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a fairly common thing to do.
Sure.
And so by going through the specific use permit, or special use permit process, it allows us to catalog where they're at. And we've verified that they've gone through the appropriate approvals, that they meet all the regulations and conditions. In the definition, it does already say it shall not be rented or otherwise used except for family members and servants. But by adding it in the ordinance as well, we think that'll give another layer of protection so that it's crystal clear.
Okay.
It's not for rental opportunity at all, only for families and caretakers, those types.
Right, because we changed that language, I believe, that was changed in the land development code.
Yeah. Well, we just clarified it, changed the name so that it's a little more palatable, I think.
Yes,
And then
I agree.
the increase, the difference, but the 4% was like 50 feet, is that correct? It was like between 1,100 and 1,150 or something like that, which is.
Yeah, it was 4.6.
Yeah. And that's not considering roof over, I think that they tallied on their deal, covered porch or something.
Carport.
Or carport, something like that.
It does include the patio, or it's not really a patio, but the front porch
Breezeway.
area.
Okay.
It
Well,
does
yeah,
include the overhang.
But not the carport.
Right. We also have that on as the following agenda item, so that does increase the percentage more.
Okay.
But we've separated the two so that you can decide on each one individually.
Okay.
And there's a breezeway between the home and the carport, is that correct? So is it attached?
It's a covered walk area, but it's not truly a breezeway, more than just it's an extension of the roof line.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, so we've already included that porch, I don't know what you call that, the front overhang area
Okay.
for this one. And then on the carport, if you look at the design, you'll see that there's a portion on the side of the carport itself that gets you to that area, which is just more covered walkway area. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So can we go over the next item too, please?
Sure. And
Unless we, okay.
so this is for consideration for the carport structure from the same location. This just says of the 4%, not to exceed that. Can exceed it within SUP. And then the carport standards are quite specific. And the location of the carport as well. In taking a look at this, the location of the carport puts it in the side yard and not necessarily in the rear yard. There's a really good drawing here. I'll get to in a second. This shows kind of the breakdown of the percentages of the building versus the area and stuff. So the accessory dwelling that you saw before is 1,150 square feet. Carport, for consideration, is 462, which meets the size allowed by the land development code.
So is the carport then where that concrete slab is, right where the car is parked?
Yes, it would be here on the end.
Oh, okay.
And it would be, this is a good picture too, because it would be there.
So, okay, so straight in.
Yes.
Straight in from the
Yes.
drive.
Go to the pictures, there we go. So Joe Will is here, and so you'd be looking this way to it. This is really good because it shows you the carport set in front of
Dwelling.
the dwelling.
Okay.
How much of the existing, what is the size of the existing structure, I guess?
Oh, it's,
Of the accessory dwelling. So they've remodeled it and actually added to it to get to the 1150. So
So
that
they're already at 1150?
yes,
Yes.
that's correct.
Okay.
They added on a storage area on that east side, the back side, and then they added that covered walk area. And so it was increased up to the 1150. And that with the addition of the carport, it will go up to that 6.4%.
So this was already done.
They just haven't added
haven't-
they haven't done the
The
internal
carport's not
stuff.
done,
Okay.
obviously.
The kitchen.
Okay,
They don't have the stove in the oven in there because they need the approval for this.
right, but just the accessory building itself. So that doesn't really violate any percentages, or does it? By itself?
It does on its own. So with the permit, it was to go up to 1,000 square feet.
Mhm.
I'm not sure exactly how it got to this point, but we're just taking care of it as part of the approval process.
So we don't know when that accessory building was approved?
It was recent. I think it was later last year, and they completed it.
But we didn't know at
fairly
that time
recently.
that it was an actual.
Did we approve that? Or did it come to us?
It did not
I
come
don't
to you
remember
because
this
it was,
coming to
No, I
us.
don't
it met the percentage requirements
At that time?
at that time, yeah. I'm not exactly sure, I don't know how that increased to, well, I think what they ended up doing was doing a little more covered area in the front than was originally planned, and I don't know that the building inspector realized that there was a change. And obviously, it's not that much, 150 square feet, it ends up being, with this detailed information that we have now, we realize it's over the 1,000 square feet, and so we're taking care of it.
The concern is that is by approving something like this, after some of this was done, after the fact, I don't want to set a precedence for that, but,
And, I mean, that is definitely a concern, but I don't think that it was intended to be that way on anyone's part.
okay.
I think just, it seemed to make sense to do the entire covered area along the front, and I think that's where nobody realized that it would cause an
violation.
overage of what would have been allowed.
Yeah.
Right, a violation.
Well, I'm just
So it was
thinking,
unintended, is my opinion.
from my perspective, I'm thinking of another case where a family wanted to do this.
The carport?
No, wanted to build for their family member on their property. And so, it kind of seems, well, we're just talking about the carport.
Well, with the stove in the oven is where the special use permit is triggered. If they don't include the stove in the oven and they meet all the other regulations, it would not require a special use permit. And we still have the regulation that it cannot be rented. It has to be for family members and all that.
And we recently approved a pool house.
Right.
But they called it a pool house, so I don't think that, so it's
It
really.
has a kitchen,
Right.
it has a living area, it has a restroom. So to be safe, we processed it as a dwelling.
Right.
They may not use it as a dwelling at this time, but it easily could be.
And the accessory building without the overhang, the porch area,
is well under.
Is well under, yeah.
And so I think the covered front area did not extend the entire length, and I think as they were out there, they said, well, it makes more sense to go the entire length, so I think the building inspector allowed them to do that, not knowing that it would bring it over that 4% limitation.
One of our people,
Right.
Colleyville.
And I already know the answer to it, but I'm just saying, without the carport, there's nothing that would stop them from being able to park a car there
No.
anyway, right?
All right.
So it appears their intention is to break those posts for the carport, no? Yes.
And that's a regulation that we have in the land development code.
What'd you say? Break the post?
A brick.
Brick,
Okay. Oh, brick the post.
break
Okay.
the post.
I thought I heard break too. I was like,
Yeah, yeah, what are we,
I'm
yeah.
breaking what? I got you.
Yeah, okay. Nice CV aerial again, please.
Does that help?
Yes.
So all the neighbors are good with this?
Um,
I mean, we have this letter
Have to
That
run
letter.
response.
with just some conditions, which of course are good conditions on our part for us. It's something we would want. Is that a new pad leading back to that carport area? Looks like it's a different.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so they prepared it all too.
What is that? The setback for an accessory building is only 5 feet, is that correct? From the side?
Yeah, it starts at 5 feet, and at that 5 feet, you can be 8 feet tall. And then there's a 45-degree angle from there that you just have to stay under. And so that one does meet the, I don't remember the exact distance to the property line, but we evaluated that with the building itself. And so they do meet the requirements for that.
In that drawing, it looks like it's right on the property.
Yeah, it's, so these are not survey quality lines. I believe the property line is over here, not up against the building. Yeah, so that's offset a little
Yeah,
bit.
because that would be like creating a zero lot line.
Yeah, so it's not that, that's not the case.
What's the height of the carport again? The proposed carport?
It's labeled at 12 feet.
Yes.
Maximum is 14?
That's 15, I
15,
think.
okay.
Yeah, so it's 12 feet to the very peak.
And what's the height of the building structure? Right
It'll be the
behind?
12 feet as well. You can see they're tying right into the same roof line.
Okay, I just want to make sure. All right, I don't have any more questions on this.
Do they show any downspout locations? Or any
Showing what?
Drainage.
downspout? I mean, they've already, the structure's already built, so I guess it's moved, but.
Oh, can you go back?
Well,
What I just
carport's
saw was
not-
that. Well, that's not,
This, yeah, that's one down the street.
oh, down the street. I was going to say, that doesn't look anything like
Yeah.
what's going on there. Okay.
We did not ask for them during the permit process. We'll ask for that, though. And
Just-
that is definitely something you can add as a condition that they will provide, but it'll be up to you.
Well, and I really don't know which direction the drainage is flowing, but it's just whenever you put something right on the property line, depending
you
on which
can
way you
already
pitch the roof
tell.
can make a big difference to the neighbor's quality of
So
whatever.
there is
There's
one side that does go towards the adjacent property line.
But that
That'd be
structure's
the
already in
shorter
place.
side, and then the larger side goes into the interior of the property.
It's already there except for the carport,
Right. Yeah, and that structure's been there for a long time.
Okay. that's all that we have to cover. I'm going to adjourn this meeting. We are going to pick back up in the chamber room at 7 o'clock. Thank you.